So I want you to picture the scene. Jesus is standing in front of you, and you're squeezed in between the crowd, but over shoulders and between the little gaps, you can see him. He's right there in front of you. And he's teaching his disciples about something profound. He seems to be teaching about our relationship with God, about the Holy Spirit, and how we too can connect with God. And just as you begin to crane in and to listen to what... Sorry. I'm really sorry about this. Sorry, just 1 minute. Hello? Oh, sorry, yeah, thanks for getting back to me. Yeah, I was just calling about my inheritance. Yeah, sorry, this isn't a really good time to ring, so what I'll do is I'll ring you back later. Okay, yeah, thanks then, bye. Right, really sorry about that. Don't know how it feels for you. When I'm interrupted rudely, it can be quite irksome. In Luke's gospel, Jesus handles this interruption in the middle of his profound teaching by the man in the crowd, handles it certainly better than I think that I would. His interruption could easily have distracted Jesus from his purpose, teaching those who had gathered about their relationship with God. And yet he uses the opportunity to do just that, using the parable of the rich fool. Well, I wonder in our lives how many times you're on the edge of getting into an activity when we're interrupted by something or someone, and we get distracted from that purpose that we set out with. Life can be full of distractions, full of interruptions. And the question is, how do we keep ourselves focused on our chief purpose, which is maintaining a relationship with God amidst all of the distractions? Well, I can tell you that these are high up on the list of distractions. It's not just phone calls. This little wonder gives me access to the internet, and it also has quite a good camera on it, which is a deadly combination. I don't know if you've ever been with somebody who seems to be more interested in actually taking photos and posting them on the internet than actually enjoying the activity that they're engaged in. Well, these are actually classed as one of the top items on the UK government's minimum standard living list. If you've come across this list, it's a list of essentials of daily life in the 21st century. You might have come across this. Every year they update and they put new ones there. Things that are just so valuable to our lives that we cannot possibly do without them. So I've got some other ones here, and I wonder if anyone can guess what some of those other items on the list might be. Ooh, clothes. Yes, shopping and clothes. Let's have a look what's in here. This is nice. Nice little scarf, I'll have that. Yeah, lovely. Probably can't hear me with the mic. So clothes. Any other things that might be on the daily living list? I'll take this then you don't burst your eardrums with the mic. What else might be on the list? Food, okay. See me if you've not had this morning. Actually, in the parable, it's all about crops. So this is our 21st century version of crops, is the wheat. There we go, so food. Any other items that you think might be on that list? Oh, money. She's a money woman. Let's have a look if she's right. Oh, a lovely purse. Let's see what's in it. Probably nothing, knowing me. Oh, there is. Money. Yes. One of the daily essentials. Let's have a look. Can you pick something out for me? do you want to pick out of there? Good choice. Good choice. Okay, so on here, this is my set of car keys and also my set of house keys. So car and house, they're kind of up there on the list. Put those, I won't put those there, someone will have them. The other thing, a house. We all need a house. But the thing is with all of these items is that the more of them we have, the more we need to do. You have a car, you need to go and fix it. You need to put petrol in it. As they say, the bigger the house, the more the cleaning. They're all valuable. They're all essential. I'm not saying that any of these things are bad. I'm going to put them there as a reminder. But there is something that is more valuable than all of these things put together. And it is our relationship with God. So I'm going to put that here. Then we can see that. Constant reminder. Okay. What's interesting is that the man in the crowd who interrupts Jesus doesn't value his relationship with God. His mind is on other things, on making sure that his siblings share this inheritance with him. And he's really seeking to comfort his own soul by a desire for more, over and above his needs. And I love the way that Jesus deals with this interruption by actually telling a story about a so-called rich fool, who's obviously the man in the crowd. But by doing this, he pulls everybody into this parable, into this story, to examine their own motivations and priorities. The parables are, to me, real clever stuff. The brilliance is that they're intended to be shocking and surprising, and it's as if they hold up a mirror to our soul, causing us to reflect on what we see there. And the rich fool in the parable does this. He examines his soul. He says to his soul, look at what I've got. This is what it is to be content. I have everything I need in life. Until he is rudely interrupted by God. Too late to realise that he had everything except the true essential of life, the salvation of his soul. What seems to be eternal one day can be gone the next, reminding us to invest in what is truly eternal, a relationship with God. Jesus remains focused despite the interruption. He's not going to be distracted from carrying out his purpose, from carrying out his Father's work. He's focused on that purpose to teach others about a relationship with God. The relationship that is possible with God. And it's what Christ came to tell us. It's what Christ came to offer us through his own death and resurrection is his chief purpose. And so the question is, what's our purpose here this morning? What's our purpose as Christ Church? And is it not also the same to remain focused on the most important thing, to help reveal God's saving presence to others around us? Well, to really understand this parable, we've got to understand the differences between our life today and the world of the first century and its economic structure, which is different to our own. So the world then wasn't a money-driven society like we have today. It was a world that was driven by identity. So the goal of life was not to accumulate wealth and an abundance of things, but to preserve what you had. So a person could not accumulate wealth except through somebody else's loss. It's this idea of what they call a limited good society, where there's a limited amount of resources to go around. And that introduces the word greed into the passage. Greed for more than he should rightfully have. And it sees the man in the parable sacrificing his soul and identity on what we might call the altar of affluence. And he forfeits his true identity in God. In this society, money isn't the determiner of a person's status. Birth is. It's all about who we belong to. And it's why these passages of Jesus' teaching, if you read on a little bit, refers to us as children of God. That is who he is saying is our identity. It's not what we have, it's who we are. And who we are is the thing to be most valued. Who we are is children of God, much loved and very valuable to God. So valuable that he sent his son Jesus to claim and love us. And that passage from Hosea, which can be a bit difficult, actually is a lovely line in that talks about the fatherly love that the Lord desires to bring to his people. He says, "It was I who taught Ephraim to walk. I took them up in my arms. I led them with cords of human kindness and bands of love. I was to them like those who lift infants to their cheeks. I bent down and I fed them." It's a real tender, nurturing love that the Lord desires all of us to have in him. And the wonderful thing is that we can know this valuable love through the presence of Jesus in our own lives. And the more we value this relationship of love, the more we notice everything that distracts us or interrupts us from entering into his loving presence. I've used some of these items today as an illustration of some of the modern things which can demand our focus and our time. But I'm aware that as we sit here this morning, there may be other things that you bring to mind, maybe concerns or worries, which take the focus away from Jesus. And if that is so, if there is something that you feel is a distraction in that relationship, then I really encourage you to pray about it, to talk to the Lord about it, to involve him in it, whatever it is. Because the answer to keeping focused on God is to invite him into the whole of our lives, to live each day in his presence. He desires that we trust our daily needs and situations to him. And by doing this very thing, we are practicing what it is to value our relationship with him. And you will find yourself becoming wealthy in the knowledge of how precious you are to God. I believe that the greatest blessing to the Lord is when we choose to seek his opinion, choose to ask his guidance, choose to invite him into all of the things that fill up our everyday lives. Because I believe that the most valuable blessing we can receive is knowing the continued peace of God's presence without distraction or interruption. Amen.